Hey, this is AUX RTN. Thanks for hanging out. We have Chris from Human Barbie in to chat about recording and play a couple songs from his record released just this past fall. What song are we going to jump into first here?
My first song is called Fantasy, spelled with an IE at the end. And this is new. It's not on the album, but, you
Awesome.
have to keep growing.
Every day. This is Human Barbie on AUX RTN.
He never saw it coming. The bullet from behind. A soft angel calling. Erasure of mind. With nothing to remember but the color of her hair and life's fleeting ember painted everywhere, everywhere. Sailing on an ocean of sparkling light, never to awaken, forever goodbye, goodbye. We forgot he was a man like me, and you wouldn't even speak his name. Delivered him of everything, my dear. Never could it feel the same. Floating there beside him, immaculately clean, a pitiless reminder, never to be seen, never seen. We forgot he was a man like me, and you wouldn't even speak his name. We delivered him of everything, my dear. Never could it feel the same.
Awesome. So first off, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having
Thanks
me.
for making it. Yeah, I know we're finally kind of coming out of some of this stuff, so it's nice to finally get this going again.
Oh, it's good to be
Speaking
here.
quickly here.
What?
Speaking quickly here.
What do you mean?
Are we we're coming off? We're getting off the ride?
What?
I'm getting off.
I'm not a theorist, so
No, we can't speculate like that.
Oh, oof. Well, okay, fine. I wasn't speculating at all. So you've been busy, right? So what's been going on?
I've been making myself busy for mental health purposes, and it's working. I put out a record last year with my friends at Poor Man Records. It was an amazing experience, and we're still sharing the music. I've been recording new stuff, and crucially, my friend Justin and I are making a cinematic companion to the album that is still underway. So it's like a video to go with every song on the entire album. We put 3 of them out. There are 6 left to go. They'll be coming out throughout the spring and the summer. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I watched a couple of them. They're all available on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's called The Life of Ed, and it's with my friends Justin and Ed.
Yeah. Super cool. Everybody should go check that out if you get the chance. So I've spent the last couple of weeks listening to the record Get a Life, released this past fall, and I'm blown away after talking with you. I told Matt, don't talk too much before we get started here, but we ended up talking way too much, and now we have to go back over what we've already talked about. But
yeah, just so you know, all the laughs that we're going to have about anything that sounds new, like, oh my God, that's crazy, it's all fake.
Mm-hmm. This is literally scripted.
Yeah.
Well, at this point now.
But we are live streaming on YouTube, just to put that plug out there.
Right. The scripted performance is now streaming. But I was remarking on the whether or not this record was done to tape, and it was revealed to us that yes, it was done on a 16-track machine that resides in your apartment.
Absolutely. There's one picture of it on my Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And it's a Fostex.
A Fostex B16. Inherited it from an awesome friend, and it sat lifeless for 10 years.
And it was in total working condition by the time it came to you?
Oh, completely. I tried to do some stuff on it with old tape, and I quickly realized, this is useless unless I want a worthless lo-fi effect on certain tracks.
Totally. Yeah, it's not amazing, how much of a difference, new tape can make. It seems obvious. But we all do it.
Well,
we've done it in our youth and continue to do it today.
Well, see, I mean, the worthless tape thing, I think that comes with just, I think we were still part of that last medium or last generation of, we didn't have a computer just to record on, initially as kids. So what you found the cassette tape and you plugged something into it, and then,
Sure.
Wow, I'm able to record onto this. You know what I mean? I had that experience.
Yeah. I think, what was your experience, Chris, as a kid?
Man, I started recording in college, and I think I got a pirated version of Fruity Loops. And so I became interested, fascinated with tape later on, after I'd been kind of making unlistenable music in the box for a long time.
So it was in the computer from the start.
Exactly.
Your introduction was in the computer. Yeah, I mean, I think I always wished, I could record more than 2 channels in a computer. That was not the internal microphone, but
well, I mean, I remember my friend and I, we thought we were really, he had a laptop and I had a laptop, and we both had one microphone. So we would use one laptop in one room, put the other laptop in the other room for the room mic.
Yes.
And then just blend the 2 audio tracks together in
no phasing issues, no syncing issues.
Amazingly, the copy of Acid Pro that we had from LimeWire didn't have any problems with it.
I mean, that's literally how I made this album.
Tell us about the process with the Fostex, and kind of run that down for us. I'm super interested to hear how this record was put together.
Yeah. With a previous project called The Fuzzy Crystals, we had done an album with a producer named Gus Seifert, and he has an analog dream world in his studio. It's all to tape. We tracked live, punched everything in full band, mixed it live, and I kind of caught the bug partially because it sounds like super cool, but more that the workflow on tape caused everyone to elevate their musicianship to new levels. And I mean, speaking just for myself, like I'd never experienced, because each roll of tape is $300. And every second that goes by, you're like, oh my God, that was like $6 or something. And so you really need to play well, and then punching, since you're not making playlists and you're not editing together and like comping takes. If you think you can do better, you lose what was there.
Right.
Forever. And so I think that was the defining aspect of the Human Barbie album, is punching my own, like, if like a guitar take was 85% or 90%, I was like, no, it has to be magical. So I'll sit here for 4 hours destroying whatever was there before until I'm completely happy with what is on this tape right now.
So on this one, then how many? So you did do more takes on this one than you did on the other one with the
2-inch the 2-inch record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We did like a little bit of like punching on the Fuzzy Crystals album. This one, I was pretty OCD, and it was just me in my apartment, and it was hot, and like my door was like balsa woods, and I was in Koreatown. So there are all these environmental like deadlines everywhere. And so if I would get like the perfect like chimes take, and then a siren, like a cop car would drive by, I had to redo the whole thing.
Or if it's daylight, there's a leaf blower. Just as soon as you arm the tape, the leaf blower comes.
Exactly.
It's the leaf blower button.
Yeah, that's. But on the Fuzzy Crystals record, how many takes did you guys do on that?
Were you tracking live mostly? Together?
Tracking live together as a band. And so we would do like 1 or 2 versions of the song, 3 at most, and then at most maybe like splice the first half of one and the second half of another, and then fix a couple bass notes, and then overdubs. And so it had a lot more of like the live magic to it, whereas Human Barbie is more of a hybrid, like self-produced OCD, but it also has like the immediacy of everything that you hear is like a real thing that I squeezed out of myself. And
if you're on just the podcast alone, on the video you'll see I see the remote, because I have a similar remote of you saying going back, that he's with the hand showing that rewind.
Yeah, that's muscle memory.
Yeah.
Like punching your own vocals. Recording your own vocals is already kind of psycho, and like it's not for everyone. And then punching into a take you like but you don't love is one of the most terrifying things imaginable.
Yeah. You wouldn't do that, like you wouldn't go in and punch in just for mid phrase, right? You would go in. You would?
And
oh my God.
The remote has a lag, so you'd have to punch just a little before you'd have to punch on top of audio you wanted to keep, like a quarter of a second or something.
How many takes did it take to find that out? I mean, well, what was lost? I gotta say.
Yeah.
Were there many jumped guns?
Yeah, like I developed a sense for it eventually. And I'm sure like in the 80s or whatever, like people were good at that, but I was kind of rediscovering it for the first time.
Well, I mean, you've heard people talk about the tape machine's almost another instrument in the studio, so
totally.
But yours has another. We found out about it before. We talked too much before, but like you have an actual idiosyncrasy with the tape machine, the physicality of it that isn't exactly the tape head issue.
Oh yeah, it's not like a normal. Most tape machines, I have a playback. I have 3 heads: erase, playback, and repro.
I think like it's 50-50. Like some, yeah, like 50-50. It's not all tape heads.
Okay, well, they don't know yet.
Okay, sorry.
One erases whatever's there. One prints onto new stuff onto the tape, and then one plays it back. But my repro and record head are on the same.
On the same stack.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't know what happened until you're done and you go back and listen.
Right. Which is, I love the living on the edge, part of that. And I mean, like, that's how records have always been made in the past, and there's some sort of magic that comes with making a commitment in the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that workflow so much. And even if I'm working just in Pro Tools now, I kind of don't make playlists unless it's for certain things. I'll just like Control Z it. And I know it's still there somewhere, but I literally never go and find it and bring it back. I just undo. So that way there's just like one track, just like on the tape machine. You don't have to edit. It's just, this is what I have.
You can disable, or you can set your undo history to 0. So you can't like bring anything back.
I should do that. Because always in my mind, I'm like, well, I could if I really needed to. And I know, there's a safety net.
Right. Well, there you go. Maybe Pro Tools expert will teach us. Let's jump into another tune, and when we come back, I want to chat about the construction of the record. What song are we playing next?
Up next is, I'm going to start with 2 newer ones that aren't on the album, and then I'll play 2 off the album. So next tune is called Wait, and let me switch guitars.
Sure. You're listening to AUX RTN with Chris from Human Barbie.
Drink the water until you're clean. Hidden wonder, come unto me and stay a little longer. So secret, we're safe out here, slipping under and reappear. Sleep a little longer. I can wait a little longer. I can wait a little longer. I know where you go. It's too late, and the sun blows away. So we wait, follow. the sadness innocently. So stay a little longer. I can wait a little longer. I can wait a little longer. I know where you go. It's too late, it's too late. The sun goes away. So we wait and follow.
You're listening to AUX RTN with Human Barbie. So when you are when you had all the songs, did you finish writing before you started recording? That's always a question these days. Now that everybody's so capable in their home environment.
Yeah. I'd written almost all of it before I started recording, because I like to record and I like to produce, and so that started to meld into how I wrote songs. So I would just like come up with maybe a little bit on guitar and have a melody, and then I would just walk all around, or like thoughts would come when I was driving. And so I kind of knew what I wanted the songs to sound like broad strokes. Which helped, because then that let me know, all right, I'm going to need to find someone with a harpsichord, and I have to get a piano.
I mean, you mentioned prior to us starting that you do have kind of a different background than what we normally have in here.
Well, what do you normally have?
Not jazz basses. So does that factor into kind of how you're piecing songs together? Because I'm sure that it might be a little bit different, having that background.
Probably. I've heard a lot of producers are bassists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's something about just like hanging back in the band and you can observe like how all the puzzle pieces fit together without
I think it's maybe just about being quiet.
Well, I think it's about because you have to sit and you're listening in to make sure the bass is what's driving the song, at least in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the most important and best instrument.
I mean, I don't get out of bed without pulling my bass out.
Same.
So when you do have those ideas, how do you document them? Do they kind of just compartmentalize in your brain, or do you?
That's definitely jazz ear training.
Mm-hmm.
So in jazz school, or not in school, if you're learning how to do that craft, in contrast to classical music, in jazz you memorize everything and you transcribe, and you're just dumping these solos and these parts note for note into your brain until you have it encoded in your muscle memory. And because of that, I found, because I was doing that a ton during school every day, hours a day, it really expanded my my ability to retain information orally.
Totally. That stuff is wild. I did a little bit of transcription, solos transcription, and it's it takes me so fucking long, and just watching people just get it a couple listens, it's how are you doing that?
It gets easier.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure
the first 10 or 20 are more challenging, and then it starts to become a lot easier.
Yeah, the first 10 or 20 are about 15 to 16 years, and then the rest of them, I mean, you're already a pro.
Or dead.
Uh-oh. Knock on wood.
So So then when you go to sit down, then you basically already have, I mean, I think that's where I was getting at, that you already have the fully formed song in your head. And when you go to then make the song, to make the final, maybe the demo going into the final product is like where you then sit down, you could basically, you know, clank out the foundation of the song. Is that how you do that, or do you record little parts and then kind of form it together from the ideas that are in your head?
You know, I just remembered when you said that I demo it to teach it to anyone else that's going to play on it. So a lot of friends joined and played on the album. I did the bulk of it, but I don't play drums. I don't play harpsichord. A ton of friends sang on it. Some guitarists. Saxophone is on there. So I did, I think, demo all the songs.
Okay.
And then was kind of like fleshing out those concepts.
Okay. So you basically, like, you sit down with the acoustic guitar, you chunk out the song, like here's this to the person that's going to play on it. And then they take that and run with it a little bit and get their parts down. And then you guys kind of reconvene as like a live group together to record it, or
exactly.
Okay.
But the demos are a little more in depth than that, and maybe I'm just psycho, or I don't know if this is in my personality, but
it's all that jazz.
it's all that jazz coming out. I want the demos to also have a vibe and like be exciting to learn to and play to, because I learn a song very differently if it's like someone that just like did it into a voice memo versus like the demos. You could hear what the song was gonna be like. And I spent time to like track guide vocals in a way that were still compelling. And then as everything layered, I think by the end of all the tracking of the album, it was just so many generations that it felt pretty comfy to me.
So once it came time to start tracking the record, you'd just start piling stuff on the tape, and everything is, done in the tape machine, and then dumped down into the DAW. Is that the typical process per song?
Yeah, I did drums first because I can't really move the tape machine, or I don't want to, and I can't play. Matt, my drummer for Human Barbie, can't play in my apartment. It's just not allowed. So we did drums to Pro Tools, and then I printed that onto tape, however many tracks that was going to be. And then everything else was like single tracked on top of that. So at that stage, that's why I knew like, I want piano on a couple tracks, so I have to get a piano, because I'm not going to take the machine, and once the drums are on there, I'm not going to do anything digitally.
How are you monitoring from the Fostex?
There's like a little 16-track Mackie, and I was just using it for, it's just a little mixer I used for playback.
Yeah, just for like monitor.
Exactly.
So then how maybe I'm having a hard time picturing how that works, since the tape head was the same one. So how were you able to hear what was there? Were you ping ponging back and forth on like the 3 and 4 channel or something?
It's got 16 channels.
No, but the tape, you have a 4-track tape machine, right?
Oh, it's a 16-track tape machine.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
I did cheat a little though, because I've got an Apollo, and so I used the Apollo console as my input strips.
Gotcha.
So you could hear what was going in, and you could apply a little bit of compression or EQ on the way in, just as you would with a board or outboard. So there's a little bit of like trickery before it hits the tape.
Yeah, I mean, like that's I see that more often than anything these days with anybody who's running to tape. I mean, I do it with any sessions that I do to tape, whether it's an Apollo 8 or an Apollo Twin even. Like,
I mean, aren't we doing that right
Yeah, the MCI machines.
No,
in the
not with
back.
tape, but like, aren't you using some on your console right now?
Oh no, the strip is clean right
Oh
now.
wow. Okay, so this is the one episode where we're not doing that.
Right. It's all outboard gear today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Special. But yeah, I see that more often than anything. You know, everybody's doing a lot of their signal processing on the way into a tape machine and then dumping that back out into Pro Tools or Logic or whatever, and then mixing out to either, you know, a two track wave or back to another tape machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be like the vogue way to make records. It's definitely the way that I like to make records right now. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of fib it that way a little bit. Like I'll have like Pro Tool. I run stuff to tape, but I kind of have stuff in Pro Tools, like in running multis of stems, and I'll be mixing it in Pro Tools with my mouse. Doesn't give you the same tactile feel, but you know, I'll be mixing stuff on the fly if I could get away with it. If I don't have to recall anything, run that to tape, and then have that come back in on its own audio track. Record that, and then that's what gets bounced out, just that, you know, printed mix, so to speak. But I'm taking that from my repro head on mine, you know, after it records in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that it kind of smashes it together. I mean, you and I, you had me do something on something we were working on recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I got time. I'll do 15, I'll do 30, I'll try, you know, 2 different kinds of tape. And you hear the difference no matter what.
No, you'll definitely hear the difference between 15 and 30.
Yeah.
Like there's no telling. Does the Fostex have different speeds?
It's preset at 30.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Expensive.
Yeah.
So were you buying new old stock tape?
New tape.
Brand new tape.
By a company called Studio Masters,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Totally.
SM911. And then when I had the tape machine serviced, he biased it for that tape. And he was like, I can change it to 15 IPS, but don't, because it's expensive and it'll, you know, I don't want to. And I was like, cool. You don't have to.
Where'd you take it?
Adrian.
Yeah, for sure.
He's amazing.
He's the guy in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was brilliant.
I'm driving one over on Friday.
Tight.
Let's jump to another song. What are we playing now?
Up next is Portrait of a Life in Bloom, and this is from the album. So let me switch guitars again.
Sure. I'm not sure what it is, but I've never been a giant fan of KM184 on acoustic guitar. But ever since we did a last AUX Return session, I've used KM184 on every single acoustic guitar, and if I have it, a 184. It has been. I hated them. I hated them for so long. I don't know what it was. What was the go-to acoustic guitar for you?
This is my guitar.
I'm sorry, go-to acoustic guitar mic.
My mic set has weird. I guess I get very emotional about gear and like attached to stuff. And I like for there to be like a story or for there to be like as much magic as possible because it inspires me. So much of the album, I would say, the bulk of the album was recorded with Radiohead Radio Shack dynamic mics that are like 58 clones, but they're a little more like mid forward.
Yeah.
And kind of like a little like 3D sounding or something to me. and that was my acoustic mic. But they're emotional and magic because those were. My dad had a blues band for years and years called the Banner Blues Band and the 60-Minute Blues Band before that. And it's their like live sound setup. So
It's all the beer on all over them.
right there, it's seasoned and caked with like Wyoming bar smoke. And
It's like a cast iron.
exactly. So yeah, they've got the vibe. They've got the acoustic vibe.
That's way cool. Can you still buy those mics?
Well,
I mean,
not those ones.
Probably
They're-
on Reverb. Not for sale.
No, not those. I'm just like, I see like Radio Shack is like selling kits and stuff now that look really cool.
Huh.
Like I saw,
I thought you didn't have social media.
I'm caught.
You've been outed.
No, my wife showed me, dude. No, I've seen like Radio Shack has kits that are super cool.
Oh, maybe they want
And
to
I
take some
don't know,
advertising
like-
out with us.
Yeah. Well, maybe they like
We can
do they-
restore their business.
Yeah, do they? I mean,
Well, Fry's
apparently
is
there's
gone.
there's a need for their microphones in the world.
I mean, I would build a kit. Yeah.
Fry's is gone. Radio Shack's time to shine.
Didn't Radio Shack go to business, or I don't know about these things.
I don't know.
I think I think they did go out of business, but the certain franchises like stayed open and are privately owned or something like that.
Awesome.
So I doubt that they would be able to manufacture, like a Radio Shack branded microphone.
Well, we could go into business manufacturing cheap microphones. But
I think that
it's cornered.
I think
Yeah.
that's been cornered.
I have one of them. Okay.
All right, sorry. What are we playing next?
Portrait of a Life in Bloom.
Right. All right. You're listening to AUX RTN with Human Barbie.
You know, I like this mic just fine. I think it sounds great. Portrait of a life in bloom, pretty now, forgotten soon, growing now, quickly fade away. Fortunate and fancy free, happy with our company, knowing that it's only for today. Is it even real? I don't trust anything I feel, but I'm happy to believe it anyway. Pictures of a perfect you, post them 'cause you wanted to, on a thing that isn't really there. Look around and see your friends, open up and be with them, 'cause maybe this is all you're gonna get. Is it even real? I don't trust anything I feel, but I'm happy to believe it anyway. Is it even real? I don't trust anything I feel, but I'm happy to believe it anyway. Painting of a golden moon, pretty now, forgotten soon, move the world and vanish in a day. Echoes of an ocean song, listen up, it won't be long, loving us with nothing left to say. Is it even real? I don't trust anything I feel, but I'm happy to believe it anyway. Is it even real? I don't trust anything I feel, but I'm happy to believe it anyway.
Sometimes when I'm listening to this record, I forget that it's a record that was made last year. Like it feels like a record that was made in like 1969 or 1968 a lot of the time. And I think that, a lot of that comes from your workflow and how that comes. And obviously, the instrumentation and the configuration of the instruments for sure. But you mentioned that there is not a single non-acoustic instrument on the record.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is recorded with a mic. So my friend Arthur played harpsichord. Did that beforehand along with drums, and that went onto the tape. But everything I mic'd an amp, brought in weird bells and like all the percussion I played in. I mean, I got so much better at tambourine throughout the course of those months. Oh my God. Not an easy instrument.
No, not at all.
To play. Or shaker, God. And you'd have like the perfect shaker thing, and then you'd like mess up the last part because it's hard to like start and stop a shaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what are you talking about? Just pull it over, fly it over, fly over that end.
Some of it even, there's like this Leslie vocal thing that happens on We Disappeared, which is the first song on the album. And I don't have a Leslie cabinet, but I do have this pedal. So I ran it stereo to 2 amps in the room and tried to match the tones and did the 2 mics on 2 channels and like sang into it live. So
are all the effects, is that all mechanical, I guess, for lack of a better phrase? Like, how did you get effects on this?
Effects are all, I have 3 springs. 2 of them are in an amp. I can swap out like long or short, and another one is like a rack unit that's like a fixed length. So any stereo verb is spring. The 2 long springs, like hard left, hard right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got I think I got like a commercial placement for something like Toyota, like a Spanish language Toyota commercial on like some weird commercial music I'd written, and I used that to buy Echoplex EP3. So there's a lot of like tape delay, and so all the ambience is mechanical.
So those ones that were in the spring, so basically it was reamping your effects in a way, right?
The spring I used as sends.
Okay.
And I figured out a way, if you like, and the amp with the spring in it, there's a jack on the back
right.
for reverb.
The
pedal.
Effects loop.
I don't think it's an effects loop. I think it's
okay.
for the pedal or something. But when you plug into it must be an effects loop.
So was the amp blasting sound out, or was it just going into the tank?
It just goes into the tank, and then I killed the speaker by plugging in a headphone.
Okay.
Just because, yeah.
Yeah. So
you're just printing the spring or the tape echo
as a send,
right?
Exactly.
onto a channel on the tape.
At that point I had run out of channels on the tape. So I used, I think, 17. One of them is like funky or something, and then did the effects sends from mixing in Logic. I mixed it all in Logic. So then I had like infinite effects. So sure. I did kind of cheat there.
But didn't use them.
I didn't use infinite. I tried to stay, tasteful.
Right.
Jinx. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted everything to feel real to me.
It does, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it very much does. Like, did you do any it almost feels like you did research about some of the techniques that were used, like, back then.
Yeah, a little bit. I read some stuff about, like, Motown, and I read, that amazing article, you probably have both have read it, by Gabriel Roth called Shitty is Pretty, that he wrote, like, early in his career.
Yeah.
I think it maybe like in the 60s still they were figuring out how to record things, and like they were kind of primitive and they were kind of like naive and not that great at it yet in a lot of cases. And
There weren't 16 track machines.
exactly. And so I think my also being like somewhat inept and like self-taught and like still figuring out like how you do albums or whatever resonates with that era in a weird way as well.
Yeah, I think I've often thought about it too, because like on the face value, you know, you want to think that like that time they were still figuring everything out, but everything was so rigidly like scientific. You know, like they knew the physics behind what they were doing, but at the same time you're still figuring it out. So like it's this weird kind of like, I guess not weird, but it was like this fine line between like knowing exactly what to do and also breaking what to do, but then also having such limited, like you would have to wait for whatever we could just now download, you know, like, so they'd have to like commission a unit to get built to solve a problem. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
it almost
totally.
seems like more of an issue to like try, like, let's just figure this out here. We know what's wrong with it. We'll work around it. And that's kind of what it sounds like you were working with, because you had the finite amount of stuff that you wanted to use. Like you disregarded everything, you know, that could come. And that's why it was kind of like that same way of recording, because, you know,
I feel like that's the best place to be.
Yeah.
Like to be right at the edge of like needing more stuff. Like or even needing more stuff and like can't get it.
well, we were talking about it before we started, where, you know, we all kind of have the mentality where, like you said about the microphones, and I have some gear that I've gotten attached to. Tristan has things, and we're, you know, have somewhat limited means. But, you know, we were talking about it, how, you know, we know somebody that's able to just kind of like, oh, I just used that for this record and then just sold it and then got this other thing to use this. Like, it's like these two schools of you know, ability, and it's like, you know, not really saying anything's better or not.
No.
But, you know, it's.
Yeah, I have been like privileged to play with a lot of different groups and been present for recording in a lot of different settings. And I think what I have taken away from that is I'm not going to be an all-around engineer. I'm not going to be the guy that can do anything. It's much more appealing to me to work on, to have like a limited set of tools that I know well and like I really resonate with, and I know how to do a sound, and maybe slowly expand on that as, you know, as the music requires.
Absolutely. I mean that's how I wish my world could be. Except
Your
like
world can be this way.
yeah. I mean, like I walk into places and it's like, well, like so. Like this is broken today.
Channel 6 never works. There's never Channel 6.
Nope.
So like we don't have any reverbs. Okay. Like how do we make a live reverb from the DAW pass through the console? And like figuring that, like that stuff is super fun to me.
You break
Like-
something else to make it.
Right. I mean, like that's the part of engineering that is like that solution, problem solution thing that is like I live for that shit. Like, and like on the other side, like knowing exactly how things are going to be every day when you walk in, like is super fun too. I'm sure.
You can't have the satisfaction of fixing something if it doesn't break.
So you break it on purpose.
So you allow it to break, and then you fix it.
Naturally.
And then, you know, a year down the road, when it's finally fixed, then you're like, oh, man, we did good today.
Let's play one more song, and then we'll come back and we'll say goodbyes. And what are we playing next?
Next is We Disappeared, which is the first song on the album. It's on Bandcamp, $8. Pick it up. It'll help me out a ton. This is maybe the last era where you can like get a file and like have it on your computer. So it'll be almost nostalgic, in a sense, to buy a digital album. So let's share that experience together.
It is a must-have, ladies and gentlemen.
Ah, thank you.
You've been listening to Human Barbie on AUX RTN. Please go to his Bandcamp and check out the record Get a Life, released back in the fall. It's a great record, and don't miss it.
Sorry, I disappeared there. I've not reached the stage where I have guitars that stay in tune yet, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, see. A boy met a girl when he rang a little bell in a lullaby. The girl raised her hand, singing, "Catch me if you can," and they both disappeared in the ringing of my ears. La da da, da da da, da da da. They laughed and they played and they treasured every day of the summertime. And just as they kissed, she withdrew into the mist, and the boy stayed behind in the caverns of my mind. And you'd never even know that he was there. But I whispered to him softly and take him everywhere.
Why were you talking about things breaking?
Something stopped.
You want me to go pull it?
Yeah, what's... did we lose the amp?
Yeah, power. I'll hop out there.
Something between me and the amp died.
I'm still getting the amp.
It was me.
What was it?
My pot was funky
Oh, damn.
on my guitar. That's fine though, because I was right at the part of the song where there's like a big breakdown.
Hey, guess what? Pro Tools failed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh!
Like, I looked down and I got a DAE error.
Weird.
Very weird.
Huh. Do I start over or start in the middle?
Yeah, everybody reset your watch.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let's look. Our producer. All right. All right, we're cool.
Huh. What's up?
This is We Disappeared from Human Barbie on AUX RTN.
See, that's not cute.
This is life in the studio. You know?
Maybe your studio.
I only have a studio apartment.
See, it's this G string. Nice. A boy met a girl when he rang a little bell in a lullaby. The girl raised her hand, singing, "Catch me if you can," and they both disappeared in the ringing of my ears. withdrew into the nest, and the boy stayed behind in the caverns of my mind. And you'd never even know that he was there. But I whispered to him softly and take him everywhere. Nothing ever changed. He forgot about the girl and let the laughter drift away. Till one sullen night he perceived a little light in the corridor. The girl raised a lamp and she took him by the hand, and we both disappeared. Yeah, we both disappeared. We both disappeared. Yeah, we both disappeared. We both disappeared. Yeah, we both disappeared.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So you have the album out now. What's coming up for the rest of this year? I know it's hard to predict at this point, but do you have any plans for the upcoming near future?
Oh, absolutely. Well, like I said, Life of Ed is ongoing. That's
Right.
a cinematic companion to the album that I'm recording, filming with Justin Placenti and Ed Matuzzi. And there are going to be 6 more episodes, 6 videos for 6 songs on the album. That'll be coming out this spring.
Cool. Where can they find those again?
YouTube. Human Barbie YouTube. I think you probably need to look for Human Barbie Band or Human Barbie Life of Ed, because otherwise it might bring you to that Ukrainian model. I don't know.
Ooh.
Which I did find in this.
Which maybe you want to plug that, because then it'll get that to you.
One day we'll meet.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It'll be on the suggested on the side. At some point, it'll be interchangeable.
You'll be looking for her, you'll find me.
Yep.
And you'll be so happy you did.
So anything else aside from that?
Yeah, I'm recording an EP. And then I kind of have the next LP written in my head, but I want to record a little EP that's kind of like a
breather.
Yeah, breather, a little vignette, it's more like shoegaze, a little more like 90s shoegaze writing. It'll still be very like produced in a similar way. So that should be an interesting combo.
Very cool. So they can find you on Instagram at The Real Human Barbie.
That's right.
Human Barbie on Facebook. Just
don't go to Facebook. I'm not on there.
Okay, well, we're on there too, and nobody follows us, so don't go to Facebook for us either. We're AUX Return AUX _RTN on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube at AUX Return. We're on all the podcast platforms. No matter how you're listening to us, listen to us more. Like us, subscribe.
Do it.
Ask an underwear company to sponsor us, or a subscription-based toothpaste company. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you are listening to the show on the podcast form, we do the show live, in person, streamed, and you can check that out on our YouTube channel. And do not miss that; it's a barrel of laughs.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris, for coming out and playing for us. Thanks to Big Ego for having us and providing all of the wonderful gear.
Thanks for having me, guys. You rock.
Yeah.
This is a blast.
Thanks.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, dude. Thanks so much for coming out. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we'll have to get you back in sometime when we can have full band and we'll have the new effort.
You know, we're holding off on getting everyone together in a room,
Right.
for obvious reasons. But I love the band. God, they're so awesome. I can't wait to fire up the show.
LP2. We'll do this all again with a live band.
Sick. I can't wait.
All right, you've been listening to AUX Return with Human Barbie. Thanks for hanging out, guys.